personal vaporizer segment has just boomed over the last year, taken a big chunk out of the mechanical device market, and also taken a big chunk out of the mid-sized second generation device market. So the real story is the rise of the box mod, and the reason for this is that the box device allows a greater portability and energy density. You get 2 batteries in there, and for many people, the microelectronics allowing very high power output is essential. And overall, 37% of vapers are currently using one of these advanced microelectronics box mods, with or without temp, and even unsure as to whether or not it works particularly well. There's been some controversy as to its effectiveness. So thinking about the atomizers specifically, because I think you have to look at them quite differently. This is what we find. So this is between 2013 and 2014. And diacetyl is a sort of buttery flavour, and it forms a major component of the bakery type flavours. And it's associated, it really shouldn't be any liquid. But it turns out that vapers love diacetyl. It's a great taste. And so the market has been very, very poor at eliminating it from the flavours. And this is going to keep coming back as a major controversy in e-liquids. So 15% of vapers are using tobacco flavours as their main vape. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't find this very surprising. Creating an authentic tobacco flavour is a very difficult thing to do. And also, there's an assumption with many that tobacco should be the goal. But it doesn't really make any sense when you think about it. Why should a vapor taste like tobacco? In fact, what I believe is the cigarette itself is a sort of a very homogeneous device. And an e-cigarette allows a sort of heterogeneity of flavour preferences. It becomes a much more interesting modality of inhalation consumption. So the fact that we have all these flavours really shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. But in terms of brands, we found something that I actually found rather shocking, which we gave the vapers a list of around 50 brands to choose from. But we also allow vapers to provide the brand that they use. And 60% of respondents provided a brand name that we'd never heard of. So the market is absolutely fragmented. I mean, there's just a huge proliferation of brands in the United States. And also, just speaking about the importance of flavours, when we ask about those who've stopped smoking, which is the vast majority of our respondents, half of them say that they only became motivated to stop smoking after finding a non-tobacco or non-menthol flavour that they enjoyed. So we've spoken about the sort of product typology, but the other thing that I'm interested in is specifically how do we develop a vocabulary around how the products are used themselves. So we've come up with a very simple conceptualization, which we call NOVO, nicotine orientation versus volume orientation. Possibly uses an ego type device, uses a lower wattage, has a higher nicotine strength, consumes overall lower volume of e-liquid per day, and tends to have a greater expressed preference for the sensation of throat hit. And on the other hand, you have volume-oriented vapor, who takes a inhaled lung puff, uses a much higher wattage, lower nicotine strength, and consumes much more overall liquid per day, and has a greater expressed preference for thick vapor and flavour. So generically, at the far end, these people will be known as cloud chasers, and we've got quite an amusing name for these that's just emerged, which is the tootle puffers. And when we look at the data, and if we divide purely on the basis of puff type, we find a huge differential. So the mean wattage of the nicotine-oriented group is about 14 watts, whereas the mean wattage of the volume-oriented group is about 35 watts. Director of the Centre for Tobacco Products. And he made the point strongly that actually what needs to happen is for the public to be completely re-educated specifically on nicotine itself. Because a big part of the fear comes from a complete misunderstanding amongst smokers, non-smokers, about nicotine data up as soon as I get the time to do so. And yeah, free to take any questions.